Well, hey everybody, happy Friday. I'm Nick Slavic, proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly live Facebook show where I use my over 2 decades of experience as an entrepreneur and a craftsman to answer any of your questions. So for homeowners, this is a chance where you can ask any question you've ever wanted to ask about painting, about paint, processes, whatever else. And for contractors, we can talk business, entrepreneurship, apprenticeship, marketing, and today, something very special for you. We are here at the Amazon facility talking about a program called PaintCare. And it's a way for you to get rid of your paint. Now, it's not quite everywhere, but it is in Minnesota here and a bunch of other states. We're going to talk about that program. We're actually going to tour the factory here where all of your paint that you drop off goes to, and we're going to show you what they do with it. So, but first, I'm going to introduce Marty Bergstead.
Hey.
You are your title here at Amazon?
President of Amazon.
President, and what specifically, how would you describe your company here?
We're a latex paint recycler only, and we've been in business since 1992. That's why we have the Amazon name.
Oh, yeah.
No association with Amazon.com whatsoever, although we do get phone calls every once in a while to fix someone's Kindle or wondering when.
Oh, I'm sure. Can you help them?
We have an 800 number for them. So.
Perfect. And Steve Pinkusby.
You got it.
There we go, with PaintCare. And your title, your purpose?
I'm the Minnesota Program Manager for PaintCare, so I oversee the paint recycling program here in the state.
Very nice. So what, I'll go through the PDCA contractor question of the week here shortly, but in short, what are we going to go see today?
Okay, we're going to take a look at paint comes in. How does it come in here?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do with it when it comes in? We're going to talk about how we process it, what happens with good paint, what happens to the bad paint, what we do with all the containers that paint came in, and then how we make the good paint into our Amazon Select 20 colors and primer in 1 gallon cans, 5 gallon pails, and how we control that quality and how we sell it.
So the PDCA, the Painting and Decorating Contractors of America, is kind enough to underwrite this show. They send in a contractor question of the week every week, and the question, I made an announcement that I was going to be here. Not everybody's familiar with PaintCare or the process. I'm very familiar. I use it quite often, and it's been in Minnesota for a while. But I got some questions about, as contractors, we tend to not want to waste, so we fill our shops with these half cans of this and that. It's super expensive paint, don't want to throw it out. But at the end of the year, you accumulate a lot of stuff. And a lot of people were saying, well, what's the best way to do this, if we have PaintCare or not? And a lot of the suggestions people were doing were, well, we get a bunch of cardboard out in the yard, we're pouring paint out in the yard, letting it dry. Some people mix it all together and take it to a recycling facility. Some people have a county drop off where they can do it once in a while. Sometimes it's convenient, sometimes it's not. What your suggestions for them in a PaintCare state? You don't have to go laying out the cardboard and drying it out anymore. What do we? There's a much easier way, right?
Yeah, so some background on PaintCare. We're a nonprofit set up by U.S. paint manufacturers to run recycling programs in states that have paint stewardship laws. And currently we're in 8 states. Minnesota is one of them, as well as the District of Columbia.
Okay.
And typically what we do is we recycle household paints or architectural coatings, stains, varnishes, and other products. In those states, once there's a stewardship law that's been passed, PaintCare comes in and works with retailers to set up a variety of collection sites. So to date, we have in our 8 states about 1,700 drop-off sites.
And so like my local one is, blocks from my house, it's my local Ace Hardware. So it's not a random facility, unmarked facility somewhere. It's probably where you buy the paint, most likely.
Yeah, it's not random at all. And in fact, most of our drop-off locations are mom and pop hardware stores and paint retailers. So in those areas where we run programs, 90 to 95% of households live within 15 miles of a drop-off site.
Oh, great.
So that's pretty high convenience.
Yeah.
For businesses as well as households to drop off leftover house paint. One
of the biggest benefits for me was that, once in a while, I try to reuse all the paint I can, but if you're a large producer of it, the county, years and years and years ago, if you were a contractor or a business, you would have to do something different than just drop your paint off. If you're a homeowner, you can always just drop it off as long as you show your ID. So contractors were sometimes afraid that they were gonna like, oh, wait a second, we see a painting sign on the side of your truck.
Right.
Don't go to the county facility with all your paint, because even if they don't take it, then they'll turn you away. Then they're like, well, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna, But now, even as a contractor, I take a couple gallons here and there to my local hardware store, and they take it right back.
Yeah, and in fact, in states without PaintCare, because you also asked that side of the question, people can actually go to our website, paintcare.org, or they can call our hotline, which is 855-PAINT-09. And we actually have drop-off sites that are in non-PaintCare states, typically these county facilities, as you mentioned. And usually there's information on there about what type of paint or what type of materials they'll take, as well as from whom, whether it's just household or businesses.
Okay.
So in non-PaintCare states, some counties and cities will take from businesses. You just really have to call them and find out.
Okay.
That's the first level option. The next option then is to find a paint recycler. They're not always in PaintCare states. Or there's private sector environmental services that will come and pick up that paint for you.
Okay.
Typically.
Yeah.
And it costs money.
So most people, like for all my Minnesota contractors, there's quite a few that, oh, yep, there we go. PaintCare chimed in. There's all the states right there where PaintCare is in. So most people will be familiar, especially the Minnesota guys, the contractors too, that every time you go buy a gallon of paint, there's a little bit tacked on there to facilitate this program. And it's kind of nice where it's a user fee instead of just kind of blanket statement, making a lot of people pay for it. So that's how you probably are familiar with this program, whether you've utilized it or not with that. So
yeah. If you're in a state, you're well aware of the fee. But what it pays for is basically those collection points, including Amazon, which we'll see one of those today. Pays for the transportation to get that material picked up, and then it also pays for recycling that material and getting it to various end users.
And you guys briefly took me back there just to kind of get a perspective of it, and there's a lot of paint back there. It's not, we're familiar with at our drop-off sites, there's kind of a pallet, and there's some paint stacked up on the pallet, but there are tons of those back there. So it's not a small operation, it's not a couple cans arriving here and there. This is a major deal.
Well, one of the reasons we got started is because at these county and city facilities, about 50% or more of what they bring in is paint.
Oh, sure.
And there's been some studies done in which they found that roughly 10% of paint purchased every year goes left over unused.
Really?
So that comes out to about 78 million gallons across the country every year. That's a lot of leftover paint.
78 million. Wow.
Right, and that's a lot of people pouring it on cardboard or trying to dry it out outside,
or trying to sneak it into the trash cans,
or trying to sneak it in, which you shouldn't do. It's liquid at all, because most places have a ban on that kind of liquid waste going into the trash. So, yeah, that's a lot of paint. So PaintCare really just provides a convenient outlet to get that recycled and for people to help conserve resources and do the right thing.
Nice. So we briefly went over some stats, and we'll try to get most of the important stuff done here. When we go back there, we might be interrupted by some noise, but we are going to take a tour of the facility. We're going to kind of bring you full circle where the stuff comes in, show it to you, what they do with it, and then the end product. We're actually standing, I'll show you real quickly here. We're standing all around the end product right here. This is all paint that's recycled. It's not just recycled and dealt with. It's actually recycled, and you can buy this. You guys salvage the good stuff. You turn it into something good. There's 20 premixed colors.
Yes. 20
premixed colors. You can actually purchase this stuff, and the whole office, the main office in here, is actually painted with the paint. It's a really unique sort of thing, because one of the big things, questions for contractors that I got this last week was, okay, but I'm gonna go there and it's just gonna be like, okay, you got 1 gallon of this color, you got 20 gallons of this color, but I'm painting an apartment, they don't want the 20. Like, that's people's normal aversion to when we go to the county to buy used paint. It's just, it's such a hodgepodge. But here, you guys have it systemized.
Yes, we have inventory in 1 gallon cans and 5 gallon pails of all 20 of our colors plus primer. Total of about 12 to 15,000 gallons at any one given time. We want a customer to be able to get what they want when they want it.
Yeah.
And whether that customer's coming in and getting 5 gallon pails, or it's a customer we're going to be putting an order together at the end of next week for one of our larger customers. They buy full truckloads.
Oh, wow.
And so we will be putting 24 to 26 pallets of pails and cans on a truck and sending it east.
Wow.
So-
And you were mentioning the immediacy of it too, that you do keep a lot of inventory so that when there's a need, you have a way to facilitate it too.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me grab a color brochure here. So this is really interesting. There's a whole bunch of pre-mixed colors, and they actually have a lab back there where they do their best to maintain the standards of these colors so that there's people will be familiar with batch numbers
Mhm.
and things like that. So you can reference those and get the same paint, or the colors are fairly standard, and you guys actually put quite a bit of work into making sure there's consistency between those.
Yeah, when we walk through the lab, we'll show you the testing that we go through and how many times it may take us to make some adjustments to get to the color we want. We do tell people, okay, it's recycled content paint. There is some variability batch to batch. If you're going to go doing a repaint and we don't have the same batch number, if it's 6 months later or 2 years later, you're going to have to go edge to edge or corner to corner. But based on lighting and reflection, you're never going to be able to tell the difference if you start at a corner. If you just took a different batch and did a circle there, yeah, you'd probably tell the
Oh
difference.
yeah.
So-
Well, and even with, it's something I teach all my apprentices too. Even if we're gonna go to a major paint manufacturer and get a brand new can in their own color, you better intermix those cans,
Yep.
because just everything conspires to
Yep.
it not to be perfect. So it's a good practice anyway, and
Yep.
it's really not out of the industry norm. So anything else we should go over before we take a look back there? Anything you guys want to impress upon everybody?
Well, we're looking primarily at latex paint here today, so I
Mhm.
just wanted to mention we also take in oil-based paints and stains.
Yep.
Those materials go to a different facility, and you'll see out there Marty's crew kind of sorts through some of that stuff. It ends up going out for either sort of industrial manufacturing purposes
Okay.
as a fuel or a waste-to-energy application.
Okay.
So. And that's about 10 to 20% of what we're still getting through the program, even though the industry has kind of shifted almost all to water-based paints.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of oil-based stuff out there.
Tons of oil.
Yeah.
Tons of oil. So if we're cleaning out our shops as contractors at the end of the year, we got 5 gallons of random oil primer, 5 gallons of random water-based primer, and we bring it to our local hardware store. They put it on the pallet. No money exchange. They just shake your hand. You're gone. What happens then?
Yeah, so we'll see when we go out there, but it all goes into a box. It's loaded up onto a truck when it's full at some
Uh-huh.
point. And from the retail side, that stuff comes here. And then as we'll see when we're out on the floor, that's the oil base gets separated and is repackaged and sent
Okay.
out. And then the latex goes through Marty's really interesting and somewhat messy process. Which
Messy and
we're gonna
hard
see in a
work
minute
and
here.
messy.
But this is a very clean facility. I've been through paint
Oh.
facilities, super clean, and also what you guys would call messy is one of the most beautiful displays of paint sort of
Yes.
things I've seen. We'll show you guys that in a bit. It's like Pollock on steroids back there. It's just beautiful. So that's probably a good segue to us going to take a tour.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. All right, so it might get a little noisy back there, so if something does get interrupted, there'll be video, and we'll try our best to describe what's going on back here. All right, so we're back in the warehouse here. We're going through barrels of finished paint, actually. You can see all the numbers and stuff here. I watched one of their guys in bulk containers, because then it gives them the ability to fill 5s or 1s or anything else. Is this all finished paint as well here?
Yeah, so
Wow.
this is the good paint side of the house.
Yep.
And most of this here are feedstocks, okay? So when we show you the bulking line, we're bulking into specific colors of feedstocks, okay?
Yep.
And then they come over here for storage. We've got them all barcoded into the system. Then when we go to make batches of paint, each color is a certain formula or approximate formula.
Yep.
So they pull all of those feedstocks over to make the batch, and then we adjust the color as necessary, etc. On the far side are some finished goods further over there, the drums with the liners.
Oh, sure. Yep.
We've made a batch, a 500 gallon batch. We didn't package it all up, okay? We only put some of it into 1s and 5s. We put the rest into drums. When we need some more cans, when we need some more pails, we won't know what we'll need when we need it.
Yep.
We'll pull a drum off and we'll say, okay, we need 50 ones, and they'll spin it up, make sure it's still good, package it up, and have that paint ready to go. And so that lets us be a little more nimbler afoot. If we run out of ones, we don't have to make an old 500-gallon batch. We've got some drums to pour off.
So finished paint there, and you said these were
Feedstocks.
the feedstocks. So you, and by feedstock you mean you try to get tan paint with tan paint, red paint with red paint.
Exactly.
And then you take these and actually make your finished standard colors.
Yeah, we go into 10 feedstock colors, so red, green, blue, yellow, brown, gray, beige, white, off-white, and primer.
Okay.
And then we use those up. Some of the colors are almost all of one thing. Obviously, whip white is all white,
Yep.
and ivory white is almost all off-white. But some of the medium colors have a lot of different color of the feedstocks that go into them.
Absolutely.
And then we do have customers that buy industrial grade paint in 55-gallon drums. We have a customer that buys a truckload a week of paints, grays, and beiges in 55-gallon drums. And they use it to formulate their own special recycled content paint products where they've added their magic foo-foo dust to do their, in this particular case, waterproofing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so they can sell a green waterproofing paint by using our grays and beiges as a feedstock.
Oh, nice. Wonderful.
And then we talked a little bit about the inventory. Here's all of our finished goods here, ready to be mostly packaged up and sold out to our distributors. Some of comes out of here for retail customers, but about 85-90% of our business is distributors.
Okay.
And the number one group of distributors of our paint are Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, I was going to say, that's a good question. If somebody wants some Amazon recycled paint, the Habitat for Humanity, sort of the restores and things like that would be a good place to get it?
Yes, and they can go to our website, AmazonPaint.com, and there's a where to buy button, and they'll show all the restores. Mostly focused in the West Coast for our California plants and in the Midwest, but we do go as far east as Washington, right outside of Washington, D.C. We have an outfit called Community Forklift.
Okay, yeah.
Sells a lot of our paint. So the Building and Reuse Management Association, reuse type stores also buy and resell our paint.
Perfect. And Jason Anke wrote in a question unrelated to this, so I will get to that later. But anybody who has a question, type it in down below and we'll address it as we go. So, okay, what's next for us?
Let's see when it comes in.
People will recognize these here. This looks like the boxes that probably a little bigger than what's at the hardware store, but similar to what we would drop our paint off.
So most of what's coming in here are truckloads from our environmental service contractors bringing in boxes from the stores, or boxes from household waste programs throughout the state of Minnesota, and we have a number of customers outside the state of Minnesota too that bring up in the Midwest.
Okay.
But it's also a drop-off site. So what a lot of your viewers in Minnesota or other PaintCare states are used to, a drop-off site.
Yep.
So, and right before we left the office, someone came in and had some paint to drop
Oh,
off.
okay.
Back here, we have a ramp. They drive up the ramp. We unload it. We can take unlimited amounts of latex. So the recycle facilities are great places for contractors who have lots of paint.
Oh, yeah.
They might have 60, 70, 80 gallons, and the store doesn't want to fill up their box just
Yep.
like that. So if they're close by, they come here directly. And Steve can also talk about the large volume pickup process too in a minute. But so we can take a certain amount of oil-based paint by weight. So if they have oil-based paint too, we're taking that off, putting it on the scale. If we hit the limit, we stop taking it. They have to come back next month. Otherwise, we hit the latex, we've got it all weighed out, comes in and collected. I would guess only about 5% of our volume is the drop-off business.
Oh,
The rest
okay.
is coming in by trucks, by the stores, probably 70% through the household program, 30% through the store.
Oh, okay.
As a
Okay.
matter of fact, an interesting fact is that when the PaintCare program came into force, we had been in business for years,
Yeah.
dealing with all the household program, and we thought, volume's going to go up 5%, 6%, 8%. It went up 35%.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were astounded.
That's quite a success then. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
That's wonderful.
We were having a hard time getting to 1 million gallons coming through here in any given year. And since PaintCare's been in, we're at 1.3 to 1.4 million.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And a good chunk of the 78 million that are probably going to go unused, give or take, out of a year or so.
Well, what's the total collected?
Yeah, total collected last fiscal year, total process through the program was about 1 million gallon, 1 million gallon.
Wow.
To use Marty's parlance.
Yeah.
Prior to PaintCare, just through the HHW, that's not counting on your drop-off sites, there was about 700,000 gallons.
Wow.
So a remarkable increase. So the retail side didn't actually displace their counties. They really all their facilities. The counties run 200 plus collection events a year.
Wow.
It actually just added on to it, and it's because of that increased convenience that we were discussing earlier.
Oh, like I was mentioning, yeah, it's, you know, the county would only have certain days, certain times, but now, I mean, there's times where me and all my apprentices, we'll go to our hardware store 6 times in a day for paint stuff, this and that. And throw that gallon in the back of one of our vans, you're going there anyway, drop it off. So yeah, it's super convenient.
And now all places that sell paint participate on the collection side. Again, it's in Minnesota, our convenience criteria, we have a site within 93%, within 15 miles of 93% of Minnesota households. So pretty darn convenient.
Okay.
And if you can't find one in your community, typically there will be a collection event or something like that. So you might have to hold on to it. But yeah, we really liked it. Customers really loved it, especially households. And I've even heard from many contractors who are like, this is great. I used to just store it up in my garage.
Absolutely. Yep, and it's kind of funny, you know, I participate in a lot of housing turns. So somebody buys a house, sells a house, and I think most people's way of getting rid of paint is, I'm going to sell this house and just leave it in the basement, you know. So it's nice to see that there's a super easy way to go take care of it now. So
I bought a home in St. Paul just before I joined PaintCare, and I had about
you inherited?
12
Yep,
so
exactly.
that's how people typically find out. That's why there's so much paint out there. So
Yeah.
Because it's in people's basements or garages. It really doesn't get turned over in many places until somebody new comes in.
Perfect. Well, I tell you what, Carrie mentioned that it's a little bit hard to hear, so we'll try to keep the talking concise, but we'll just raise our voice a little bit, and let's move it on. As you can see, these are stacks and stacks and stacks, and these are yet to be processed.
Yes, that's our raw material feedstock there back in the boxes.
Okay.
And what we do is throughout the year, we're slowly building that up. We're not processing as much as we get in all through the year because things really slow down in December, January, and February. And so then we work that inventory down in January and February and early March, keep our guys employed, don't have to lay anybody off.
Yeah.
And the paint sales starts earlier than the paint collection.
Yep.
And so we'll have our customers starting to order and restock and getting ready for spring in February and March, whereas we have closed, people aren't cleaning out the garage in January and February.
Yep.
And so our customers in the counties have allowed us to hold that up as long as we process it within the first 3 months of the next year. And so we'll do that. So that whole area will be full by the end, in between the beams will be full at the end of the year. And then at about the middle of March, it'll all be gone.
Wow.
So.
Holy. Well, it's nice to be able to sort of control your production a little bit
Exactly.
anyway.
Exactly. So
That's wonderful.
And these drums here we're looking at, these are all filled with paint that we cannot recycle.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit more than half of what comes in is no good. It stinks, it smells, it's hard as a rock, the hockey pucks, it's filled with texture, it's silly putty, you name it, we see it. And so that paint goes to another Amazon facility that we have down in Oklahoma, and they turn it into an alternative daily cover. They blend it with the lime kiln dust and make a landfill cover. A landfill cover is a coating that landfills have to put over their new garbage every day to keep down, at the end of the day, to keep down the bugs and the birds, to keep things from blowing away, keep the smells down, etc. So about an inch or so of this stuff that we make in Oklahoma is equivalent to about 6 inches of soil.
Oh, wow.
And they don't have to go find the soil. If they're not actively digging a new cell, they'd have to go find the soil to do this cover.
What an interesting use for old paint. Yeah.
So what I tell people is, Yes, it is going into a landfill, which we prefer not, but it's going in for use. So I say it's got about that much beneficial reuse.
But it's some added benefit,
Some
though.
added
Yeah,
benefit.
nice.
And we are constantly looking, even right now with a program with PaintCare in the counties, looking at alternatives, cost-effective alternatives of other things that we can do with that paint.
Okay. So we're going to start entering the noisy part here. So what I'll do is maybe we'll give there's probably kind of two main areas we're going to go through is where the cans actually get opened, and then where you guys are putting the paint into something, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll kind of describe that process now. We'll walk over there and show you what's going on. This is the really interesting part of it. And then we'll go back into the office and kind of close out the show. So, so what are we going to see when we first go over here?
Okay, what we call the bulking line. They're bringing these boxes over, opening them up, pulling all the containers out, sorting out the sizes, 1s, 5s, quarts, and then we open every single container.
Yep.
And we make first judgment. Is it good or is it bad?
Yep.
Okay. If it's bad, it's going into drums that are mostly solids or mostly bad liquids that are those drums I just showed you that
Okay.
are going to our Oklahoma facility. If it's good, it's going into 55-gallon drums of what we call our feedstock colors. I mentioned the 10 feedstock colors we have. And they're making that judgment of what color that is, it's good and what color it's going into. Then they let it drain out. They're scraping all those containers, okay, to make sure they're as clean as possible, because we're able to recycle the 1-gallon polypropylene cans. We're able to recycle the 5-gallon polyethylene pails. We're able to recycle the 1-gallon and any size steel containers, and we're able to recycle the boxes and the pallets and everything else that all came in.
And actually, all the recyclables are behind you. You
Yep.
can see the pallets and boxes stacked
Oh,
up,
yep.
as well as the black polypropylene containers. So
Yep.
we don't just recycle paint through this program, and Amazon recycles a lot more.
So yeah, we got some empty cans here, and yeah, what we're all familiar with now, the black plastic cans can be shredded up and melted, or
Yep, and the outfit's called Gopher Resources. They're a lead acid battery recycler. They shred these up with all the battery casings that they
Yep.
get from their battery recycling, melt it up, make the bead out of it, and sell it back to the battery manufacturers.
Perfect. Use every part of the animal, right? Okay.
As much as we can.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go see where they actually do the fun part. You pop open the can and see what happens, and then do something with it if you can.
The hard work.
The hard work.
Unpack, open, determine what it is, bulk it up into drums.
Okay. So the boxes come in here, the cans come out there. They come onto the line. These guys are actually doing the work of opening them. He's got his pallet scraper there. Take a look at that one, and then I'm sure there's a component of, if it looks good, do something with it. If not, see if you can mix it up, make it serviceable, and
Yep.
that's really cool. You mind if we take a little closer?
Not all.
It's a tough one.
This is a tough one. Especially
Yeah, I hate those plastic lids too. So is this one a good one? Can we use this, or is this no good?
It's not a good one.
And that's because it's kind of separated and not okay.
It's kind of sticky. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously no good.
That's
Most of them not good. Like this one too.
Oh, we got a good one.
No good.
Oh, no good. Oh, okay.
Well, here's a good one.
Ah, there we go. Oh, so you guys almost can open them like that sometimes
Still one,
too.
we have a can opener there.
Oh, nice.
It's a good one.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. I could use that one. Very nice.
You can see how thick that is.
Oh, yeah. So that's going into the can of greens then, I assume, right?
Yep.
So, oh, nice. So we try to group all the greens. This one must be a red here, white,
Off-white.
off-white, and it must be another green maybe.
Probably gray.
Gray. Okay.
Getting a little bit of everything.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, and these are the bad ones then. Where
Yeah. We can try the other side to see if it's
sure, perfect. And so these, you were telling me
Unrecyclable.
something about the square plastic. These are unrecyclable because.
we can't get enough paint out of them.
Oh, okay.
It's a recyclable plastic, but you cannot get them clean enough for anybody that can process
So
them.
nobody's gonna take them because there's too much paint in there, yeah?
Yeah.
Or there's too much paint left over, yep.
Yeah, and the handle and everything. So it's, unfortunately, it's a solid waste.
Interesting.
But
Oh yeah, this is cool. This is your paint can crusher.
for the steel cans,
So that's flattening all the cans there, and we'll take you around here and show you on the backside of this machine is one of the coolest displays of unintentional art I think I've ever seen. So we'll go back this way. So this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a paint facility. This is the can crusher here. So that must be the backstop for the cans. The cans go there. That's cool. I really like that. All right.
even though this is household waste that they're doing, we do get some oils that come in. And so those oil-based paints here, they put on this rack, and then we collect all those at the end of the shift and put them in the box for the oil-based paints. to be
Okay,
taken
then that
away.
goes to a separate facility.
Right.
Nice.
So that's why, you know, with our paint, even if the oil-based came in, it's not going to be contaminated with oil-based because we catch it at the bulky side.
That was one of my first questions too, is that, you know, how do you know you're not getting a witch's brew? Well, this is sort of where, you know, the good stuff gets separated from the bad. Labeling some cans. All right, this is going to be fairly noisy over here, but this is where the actual finished product gets put into something that you can buy and use. So it must start here,
Yep. 500-gallon batch.
500 gallons, must go through something to move it.
3 filters. We've got a pump and 3 filters. 800, 400, 100 micron.
Okay, so you're just making sure that, you know, because who knows what people do with their paint. By the time it gets here, you just want to make sure that it's only paint coming through and
We want
the
it
good
to be
stuff.
sprayable.
Sprayable, yep. And what color are we doing? This color is Island Sand. What's the most popular color? So this is, sorry about that. This is the most popular color, Island Sand here.
Our highest volume is the whipped white.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so whipped white you do the most of. Island Sand is the most popular in forms of the colors. Okay. And we got a whole palette here. And what I thought was really cool too is that you guys actually take some of the paint out of this batch and you make labels for it so you know exactly what you're getting.
Yes.
That's cool. That's really cool.
There is a little bit of variation in color batch to batch. And I'll
Yep.
show you that.
Perfect. So this is the lab.
So when we've started the batch of Island Sand this morning, a certain fixed number of drums of certain colors went in.
Yep.
Okay, so Island Sand I think is 7 off-white, 2.5 yellow, and 1/2 of brown.
So in effect, you're making you're making units that you, like buildable units, where you can take these colored units of paint and make your 20 premixed colors out of them. So,
Exactly.
So they're kind of the raw materials and the pigments in one that you're combining to make your paints.
Yeah. We are not trying to bulk a color at the line.
Yep.
Some recyclers try to bulk their colors at the line, and there's just too much variability there. So now our white, whip white is mostly white. Our forest green is mostly green, but some of those intermediate colors are a lot of mixtures of different. So we started with the island sand first. So we ran, and this is the color that was in the tank. We always try to go in light because it's much harder to make a paint lighter than it is to make it darker once you've got it in the tank.
That's
and
very
then we
true.
found it was a little bit too yellow, so we added some blue. It pushed the green a little bit. We added red in 2 different tranches before we got the final color that passed. And we're doing this analysis on a spectrophotometer. So we have all of our specs in that for all 20 of our colors, and it will tell us whether it passed or failed, and if it failed, how far away from the center point we are on the tolerances.
Mm-hmm.
And all 20 of our colors have the raw numbers of their lightness, darkness, red, green, and blue, yellow. And so those are the numbers that are in that unit, and we make it to that specification. So there's a tolerance. So batch to batch to batch isn't exactly the same, although a paint store will tell you that can to can to can isn't necessarily the same either. Our variability is probably a little more, but we tell customers, if you come back soon enough, we have the same lot number, it will be the exact same paint.
Yep.
If you don't, if it's a year later, it's 6 months later, we don't have the same lot number, then you're gonna have to start at a new edge. But
Yeah.
if you start, even in a room, you're painting a whole wall, you start with one, you go one corner to the next, you're never gonna tell the difference.
And even I was mentioning to you guys that I even when I train my apprentices, even when we go buy brand new paint from a major manufacturer in one of their colors, there will be variabilities between cans.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to blend them anyway. So it's a good practice anyway. So this isn't something only you do specifically for this. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see how much thought goes into the actual colors. It's not like, hey, today we got an abnormal amount of tans, we threw them all in a drum, so this is the tan for today, so good luck with that. No, this is as standardized as this process could be.
And because most of our business is through distributors, they need that consistency.
Yep.
They don't need, that 1 week they come in and there's a whole bunch of purple, and the next week they want more purple and it's not there, or whatever other color. They want a consistency. As the distributor, they want the colors they need when they need them. Okay.
Yep.
They don't need brown if they're still got a lot of brown. They need more white. They need more island sand, so they can order what they need, stock up their shelves, and not get anything that they don't.
Sure. So generally, it's for both interior and exterior use. And what are we talking shine level?
We call it a low sheen or a matte. It's somewhere between a flat and an eggshell. Darker colors are closer to the eggshell.
Yep.
Lighter colors are closer to the flat.
Perfect.
We have in the past tried to do some segregation to try to end up with some specific eggshell colors in the whites and off-whites, but it was just too difficult to meet the specification.
Yeah.
And we don't want to spend a lot of money on chemicals and raw materials. We want to say 99.5% post-consumer recycled content. Okay?
Yep.
And when you start making sheens, all of a sudden you're adding 20, 30, 40% polymer into that batch, and you don't have that claim anymore. Your cost goes up, your price has to go up, and it's just, we said, let's specialize on something and see if we can find enough people that like it.
Yep.
And we have.
Because the one big thing about this is it's a greatly reduced price versus retail paint. So for a tiny bit of variability, and you mentioned a couple other specific things, that's sort of the give and take of this, and you add something to it though, because you mentioned most of this paint that comes in is a little bit dried maybe, or has something has evaporated, so you sometimes will check that with a...
Yeah, we have specification for viscosity.
Yep.
Make sure it's in the range, and it's almost always thick, or in range or thick, and so
Yep.
we may add just a little water to thin it out.
Yep.
We also tell our customers, in general, our paint is going to be thicker, especially the whites and the light colors. Feel free to add some water if you're going to spray it, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Our specification says good for 19 nozzle. We do have customers that have gone all the way down to a 15.
Oh,
Okay.
Huh.
So,
nice.
and we check and make sure the pH is right, and then in that filtration system, once paint's all through there and running, then we check the grind to make sure that the
Oh, okay.
filter's catching all of those particles.
And then
So-
you also mentioned you add a little something to inhibit growth,
Bacterial growth,
growth
yeah.
too. So
We add a biocide in there to keep bacterial growth from happening. So
very nice.
The paint typically will last on the shelf a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
When we're sending out, if we ever have a color or something that's been on the shelf here for a year and a half or so, we'll probably just put it back to the line and get our customers something fresh.
Yeah.
But we've also had customers that have said, I went down and got my paint 5 years later and painted the wall and it was fine.
Yeah. That's fun. Okay, what's next for us?
I think that we will walk out. I guess the one thing that I did mention that we do in going through and putting the finished goods into drums, not all going into 1s and 5s, that's what this guy who's labeling or making up the 1-gallon cans says. He's ready to do a pour off.
Oh, perfect.
From finished goods that might have been made 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and we need some 1s, and so he's pouring off those 1s.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Is there anything else you want to see out here?
No, this is great. Okay, we'll turn this around here. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you guys for doing this. That is a thrill to see back there. I'm always curious how this stuff works. A lot of people are leery of the recycled paint because of the variability of it. You have turned that into a very, very standardized process. It's very impressive to see this back here. So, what else do we need to know about PaintCare?
Yeah, I think from your audience's perspective, our drop-off sites on the retail side do take from businesses, so that's open to contractors, unlike some of the county facilities where they don't. And we also have a large volume pickup program, which is free on the pickup side. So if contractors out there, property managers, school districts, whomever, has 200 gallons or more of paint, all they need to do is visit our website, paintcare.org, or call the hotline, 855-PAINT-09, and we'll work with them to get one of those pickups scheduled.
Very nice.
Yeah, so it's a great service. I'm always surprised that, in fact, we've had a number of retired contractors who had that garage full. We're like, well, now I need to get rid of it.
Yep. And
I'm out of the business.
And I can imagine if you're the manager of a large apartment complex or many apartment complexes, you tend to inherit a lot of stuff down from the boiler rooms, and that would be perfect for that. It's free. You just call, you arrange it, make sure it's all good, and it disappears.
Yeah, I would say our biggest users of that service are contractors and property managers by far.
Makes perfect sense.
Although we have a number of school districts that seem to generate a lot of leftover paint.
I can absolutely back that up because I go into a lot of our local schools down there, and there's paint cans that my dad painted the school with 30 years ago still down in that thing. It's like, oh my God, we don't even have a hardware paint store in our town anymore. So it's interesting to see. But anything else we need to know about Amazon and your processes?
No, I think we showed you everything. We feel like we're the highest quality recycled latex paint business in the U.S.
Wow,
and
nice.
our customers back us up on that.
Well, this has been a very impressive thing, and you guys do an awesome job with this, especially with the standardization. So somebody, if you're a property manager, things like that, and you want to do turns, and you want a reliable source of color and quality, and at a good price too. You mentioned the possible savings of an apartment turn too in there.
$100.
You could save $100 on an apartment turn just by going with a recycled paint, and you're not only upcycling a product from something that may have been thrown away or done bad with, infecting the environment. It's done something with it, and then you save a little money in your business. So that's a really interesting thing.
So the 20 colors turned into the motto is, if you like our colors, you'll love our paint.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
If you don't like our colors, we're sorry.
Yep. I suppose you can feel free to mix and match however you want, I suppose, on your own.
Well, someone who said, I want something in between them, it's like, well, if you want to do that, go for it. But
it's a free country, right?
It's a free country. So.
Wonderful. Okay. All right, anything else, guys? I think there's a couple
Were there
random
any
paint
questions?
questions. so-
Yeah, do you want to?
Let's go
fire
through
those
here
up?
and see. Let's see, we got a whole bunch of people watching here. So, Nick May, a fellow contractor of mine, I'll actually be going to visit him in Colorado. They have him in Colorado. And Nick, let us know your experience with that too. It's been a great thing for our business too. We actually have a sort of PaintCare box in our shop now when we know we can't use something, or when we even taken it from our clients too. You know, you got an elderly person on the farm out there, doesn't drive anymore. She's like, can you just get rid of this? It's like, yeah, actually it's really easy for us now.
Well, and actually that's a good way to kind of separate your business from others, because not every contractor is going to go in there and think about that. But I think it's a good way to say, and we'll take your leftover paints off site, not just what we're using on the job.
Exactly.
So,
and I was telling
value
you guys
added.
too that, you know, there's some days where somewhere between 2 and 6 times all of my people are running through some sort of supply store, and if you just throw those cans in the back of the truck, you're gonna be able to run by a drop-off site sooner or later. So it looks like PaintCare is available in California, Colorado, Connecticut, DC, Maryland, Minnesota, Oregon.
Maine. That's Maine.
Oh, Maine, sorry. Rhode Island and Vermont. So
Correct.
wonderful. And plans for...
Yeah, there's always plans. We were actually, I mentioned earlier, started by paint manufacturers and the American Coatings Association. So actually, ACA is sort of looking into getting us started in several other states.
Nice.
I can't promise. There's no telling.
Exactly.
But we do work with the local state legislatures to get a paint stewardship law passed in order to let this program kind of operate and do what it needs to do.
So it sounds like Gerardo, he's in Connecticut. He's familiar with the program there. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Jason Allen Anke, question for later. Any suggestions for stain or application on an 8x8 rough cypress post? If it's new, almost all wood manufacturers recommend a wash and a sand. And when you wash it, if you can do a mixture of 4 ounces of TSP, 4 ounces of bleach to a gallon of water, just to kind of break the mill glaze, sort of brighten the wood up a little bit, and then sand it. That'll make sure the wood surface is porous. And the stain is dictated by the client's wishes. So there's a lot of good stains out there. I use about 4 different manufacturers. If they want a natural, find the ones that do natural. If they want semi-solid, one of those. If you give me a specific, whatever the client wants, I can give you a good product recommendation. Let's see who else we got here. Oh, Russ Perry, hello. Thanks for watching. Let's keep going here. Oh, my friendly paint rep is watching today. Russ Perry, cool facility. I would agree. This is super impressive back here. Marcio, upcycle is the future. Amazing. I would agree. That's a very cool thing. Joe Wondra, thanks for watching. Sherilyn, thank you for watching as well. Mike Wojon, another local Minnesota contractor. We got some people watching from Brazil, Bautarde, all my friends down there in Brazil. Let's see what else we got going here. Oh, we got people overseas in Europe watching as well. John Busick, another contractor from California. Marcio, thanks for Amazon. Great ecological job. John Busick, we love you all out here in California. Keep up the good work. Yeah, John's a big painting outfit there. I'm sure they've used your services out there. Jason Anke. Oh, come on now. Oh, stop. Okay, didn't realize the detail in the process. I assumed recycled paint was just lumped together. Yeah, and you know, from doing a little bit of research on you guys before I came, I knew that you guys were the good ones that tried to standardize this process. But that's what all my misgivings with a lot of the county facilities was. It was awesome. We could go get rid of paint, but it was when you needed something, there was nothing you knew you were going to be able to rely on when you went there. Like sometimes you would get those, like we were talking about, the golden paint can that is the unopened gallon of white primer. You know, it's universal. It's good. You know, somebody just didn't use it, brought it in. You can't rely on having that there. With here, at least you know there's going to be something for you, which is nice.
Well, to clarify for some folks who may not understand, and not every state has as many counties that have facilities where you can drop off household hazardous waste or business waste. So in Minnesota, we have 52 year-round facilities. and another 14 seasonal. There's 87
Oh, okay.
counties, so that's pretty good coverage.
Yeah.
And a number of those facilities have reuse rooms where they will kind of cherry pick the best of the best from the leftover paint
Yep.
and put it out on a shelf.
So
as
stuff
it
they know
is.
without a doubt is like, okay, this can be used again.
Right.
We'll do this. Yeah.
And that has its applications. I get a lot of calls from schools that are trying to do theater projects or
Absolutely.
floats, and they need, or they don't really care. I had somebody call me and said, "I'm painting a shed. I don't care what color.
Yeah.
Where can I go to get free paint?" So, and those facilities are on our website as well, paintcare.org. But I do know a couple of counties do actually reblend. Washington County here
nice.
reblends into 5 gallons. Now they're not like Marty. They're not trying to go for color consistency. They're
Yep.
just putting in, whatever
You get what you
whatever
get.
they can.
Yep.
But they will put a little paint dot on the top so you can at least know, hey, I'm getting 5 gallons of a consistent color. But they're not trying to match it. They don't have the spectrum.
It's good that this stuff just doesn't get dumped down somebody's slop sink in the basement. Is basically the point. Is that it's not only being used for something good, but it can actually be put to a really high purpose, which is really interesting. So. All right, Jade, thanks for watching. Another local contractor. Nick Painter, he's a contractor from down in Austin, Texas. Love that. We have a great hazardous waste operation in Austin, drop off paint and they recycle it. Yeah, Austin would seem like a place that would probably do something like that. Let's see. Oh, Nicholas, he's watching from Denmark. All right, and that's about it, guys. Anything else you want to convey to the contractors and the viewers of Ask a Painter?
No, thanks for having us on your show
Awesome.
today.
No, you guys are wonderful. This is really impressive. I mean, this is a really impressive thing, and I hope people take advantage of stuff like this, because this is, it's not only doing something good with something that normally would do a lot of harm out there, but it's actually turned into something with a real high purpose. So wonderful. All right, well, you guys have a good weekend. I really appreciate this tour here, and all the other paint nerds like me who watch this show. There's nothing better than seeing this, because we see the boxes that we drop off in. Everybody's always curious, like, I'm sure somebody just takes it and puts it in a warehouse, or I'm sure, no, this is impressive back here. This is awesome. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you to the PDCA for underwriting this. Thank you to PaintCare as well. Thank you to Amazon for having us and giving us your time in the middle of the day. And everybody have a good weekend. I appreciate you watching this, and the kindest thing you can do for this show is to share it amongst other like-minded people. So, thanks again, and have a good weekend.